Alright, I finally did it. I finally beat Torna, Bringer of Chaos with Mythra. Spoilers, but y'all already kind of knew that would happen. This one did not take nearly as long as Bridget, since it was a lot faster, since Mythra does a lot more damage. But without really wasting any time, y'all already know the deal. We gotta get into the build and show how we did it. First, I'm gonna start by showing off Adam. And for Adam, the accessories I had on him at the very beginning of the game. So obviously I kept Electro Greatsword, which increases crit rate by 15. But originally I had Omega Drive here and Ice Headband here. And Ice Headband, all it does is increase crit rate, I think, or crit damage by 35%. Right here, increases crit damage by 35%. And then I had Omega Drive, which, as you see, slightly increased the party gauge for each critical hit delivered. And that's a lot more important than you would think, at least for Bringer of Chaos Mythra only runs, which I'll get into one of the reasons why later on near the end of the challenge run. But I kind of changed the build around a lot during, in the middle of the run for Mythra and Adam. But beating the game, this is the build that I had. Omega Drive and Modern Metal. Modern Metal, I didn't put on him until like halfway through, and this made everything so much easier. I was doing this shit the hard way, and I figured out I could just put Modern Metal on him, which is basically just Avant-Garde, but less healing, of course. So absorb 70% of crit damage dealt as HP. And with Adam and Mythra, their main gimmick is focusing on crits, like how Team Hugo is tank, Team Adam is critting, and then Team Laura is just all around damage, healing, and whatever. So we're going to be focusing a lot on crits, so this helps very much. And with the set I have, I'm critting almost every attack, which means I'm healing almost every attack. And then for pouch items, of course, I have Miracle Parfait, which is a post-game craftable item by Mythra, and Love Donut, which is a new game plus item you can purchase. These are typically the best art recharge and even special recharge pouch items in the game, so this helps out a lot. Not that the art recharge really even matters considering Mythra herself, but the special recharge is very helpful. Not that I really need that either. But speaking of Mythra, let's get into her, and I'm gonna start with the reason why it doesn't really matter, because Lightspeed Fury recharges art and specials used by 60% upon landing a crit. Every time she crits, she refills her art by 60%, and paired with Glint, which increases crit rate by 15%, and all the other things I have on her, critting is very easy. And then Foresight just increases accuracy and evasion by 50% at max. Affinity, not too helpful, but it's still nice nonetheless. And her talent art doesn't really come into effect in this challenge run because she needs to have died and then be revived in battle. And of course, I'm only using Mythra, so can't really take use of that. And then for her core chip, I'm running Moon Matter on her for just as high crit rate as possible. As you can see, right now we have it at 56%, and that's thanks to her Ox Core Massive Melee Mythra, which boosts crit rate by 25%, the highest crit increase in the game in terms of Ox Cores, and then just a regular Affinity Max Attack 3. But for the challenge run, I ran Affinity Max Attack 6 on her. I switched the build out a lot during this challenge run, especially during one of the fights. Quick interjection, I had forgotten to mention that before running Affinity Max Attack on Mythra, I was running Arts Heal on her to kind of help mitigate the damage that was being dealt to me with Unlike Bridget, she could just evade through everything. Mythra didn't really have a way of avoiding hits or healing, so I'd use Art's heal, so whenever you'd use an Art, she would heal a little bit. So I tried to use that to kinda help with the damage that was being taken, but it didn't really work out all that much. But I finally did, you know, find a way to heal a lot more efficiently and consistently later on. But that's really it. It's really that simple. So Mythra's just outfitted to do a ton of crits with everything, her skills, the aux cores, Adam himself, and just how she works is just outfitted for crits. So like the first half of this challenge run is going to be kind of tough considering I'm not crit healing, but once I get to a certain go-go fight and onward, it's just smooth sailing. But with that, let's actually get into the challenge run. Alright, so the first couple fights of the game, the one being at the very beginning where the game opens, and then the one against the gargoyle, and then the one against Mythra and Adam themselves. I didn't record those because I had forgotten, and it didn't really matter anyway since I kind of just took them all out in one auto attack because it's plus rank. So those obviously weren't an issue. But the real first fight of this run came with Bridget and Torgoth, and I think this is the first time I've ever lost to Bridget ever, whether that be a casual playthrough or challenge run, whatever. I think that's the first time I ever died to Bridget. Now, as you can see, like I was saying earlier, this, like the first half of this run is kind of difficult because I don't have crit healing, and for the first attempt for this fight, I didn't even have the pouch items on because I didn't think I'd need them for this fight. I thought it'd be fine without it. But as you can see, I get fucked pretty hard, and the arts don't fully recharge without the pouch items. So in order to art spam, I kind of need the pouch items. But once I put on the pouch items, it was just easy from here. My main damage source for most of the game, really until near the end, is just going to be spamming Lightning Buster, since it does get crit recharge, so I can just spam it over and over and over again, and it's a pretty decent damaging art. But I didn't realize until later in the challenge run, I can't believe it took me this long, but the position of the arts on the little art palette, you know, X, Y, and B, they go increasing in order, descending in like power. So obviously Ray of Punishment is the weakest and has the slowest cooldown, Lightning Buster is medium, and then Photon Edge is her strongest art but also has the longest cooldown. I didn't realize that till later in the run, so I wasn't optimizing damage here. My main source of damage was Lightning Buster, but even then, you know, all of her arts are AoE, so it doesn't really matter, but it does come into effect later on. But once I put on the pouch items, I just breezed through Bridget. After Bridget, we fight a Disparapal on Vroom Hill, but I take it out in 3 Lightning Busters, so I didn't really find the need to show it. But the next fight after that is against Gort and his goons, and I take all of his goons out in like a singular Lightning Buster, which was kind of funny. And then I just mow him down with Lightning Buster. So a lot of these early fights are just going to be just me destroying enemies with spamming Lightning Buster. Now the next big fight, I always look forward to doing this fight for whatever reason, but I'm against the 2 Goggles right before Let Bridge. And my first attempt, I got absolutely demolished. I just kept getting fucked by knockback, and I was 8 levels lower, so I kind of died pretty quickly. But once I leveled up to the same level 24, it went pretty smoothly because once I got to max affinity, I kind of got lucky with a lot of their attacks missing because Mythra does get a 50% increase to evasion when she's at max affinity. So that is very helpful, and as you can expect, I just spammed Lightning Buster while evading a lot of the attacks. So it went a lot smoother than I thought. I thought I'd be on that fight for a while, but it only took 2 attempts, surprisingly. But I can't really say the same for the next fight. And speaking of the next fight, it is against the Slythe Jagron, and this fight was pretty tough, but I came up with the absolute most galaxy brain strat to get past this fight. I popped off so hard. But before we get to that, I would just spam Lightning Buster, of course, and just my arts to build up a level 4 special, so I could use the level 4 special to, you know, for invincibility through its Rolling Claw, since when it becomes enraged, Rolling Claw is its rage strike, and it's just an overall very powerful art. So as long as I can build up a level 4 special fast enough, which isn't hard at all with the build that I have, I should be able to just use a level 4 through Rolling Claw and pretty much just be safe until the second phase. And then the second phase came around, and this is where I started to struggle. I thought I was fucked here. I didn't think I'd be able to beat it. I didn't know what to do. I think I'd have to level up just way too high to even have a chance, because for the second phase, the Jagron starts at half health. Thankfully, we get full health, but it starts at half health, and like one Lightning Buster or a couple auto attacks and it'll become enraged, and then use its rage strike Rolling Claw. And there's not really a way to build up a level 4 special that quickly in just a couple of seconds, and even I can't really get to max affinity that quickly without running like shoulder to shoulder, and then even then it's still pretty tough. So I kind of just had to hope and pray that I would evade the Rage Strike Rolling Claw, which did not really happen at all. I think I got through it once, and it kind of went smoothly from there, and then it would Rolling Claw again and I died to that. But this is where this strat came in. Alright, I attempted this fight over and over again, and then I realized, wait a second, what if I can just fight one of the enemies outside of the arena and just build up a level 4 special on them, and then walk into the arena and use the level 4 special to go through the Rage Strike Rolling Claw. I don't know how I came up with that, but it was so nutty. So first I tried using the nest, and that didn't really work, but eventually I settled on using one of the Rick and just baiting him over towards the arena, and then I would just spam arts on him until I got up to a level 3 special. And once I got up to level 3, I'll walk into the arena with the Jagron, and, you know, just run around or auto attack, or I'll just run around to build up the level 4 special without really doing damage to it, because I didn't want to get enraged, or didn't want to get Rage Strike Rolling Claw. So I would run around until I built up a level 4, and then attack it until it became enraged, and then as soon as I saw it use Rolling Claw, I would level 4 special through that, and then I could just build up a level 4 special regularly like I was before once I get past that, and then just use my level 4 every time it would Rolling Claw. So that was a dope ass strat. I don't know how I came up with that, was to just build up special on an enemy outside of the arena and then walk into it with level 3 already and then build up level 4. Maybe it's not as insane as it sounds, but at the time I thought I was the smartest motherfucker on the planet, because that was such a dope ass strat. Alright, I still popping off about it. I put the clip on Twitter and whatever. It was great. But yeah, this fight was actually really fun with that strat, and I was popping off for like the rest of that fight and after it. It was so dope. Now, just like the Bridget fight, for one of the quests we have to fight a Gogol, and I wanted to include this fight since it was difficult enough and long enough that it would make a pretty decent spot in the run. But this, I spent almost 50 minutes on this fight alone, and that was before or after I started recording, you know, a couple attempts after I'd already fought this Gogol and kept losing to it. So it was more like damn near an hour of just this one fight alone, and I thought I would never be able to get past it without having to level up. But this is where I started changing my build out a lot. I tried everything I could, alright? I was getting desperate and I tried absolutely everything. I swapped Arts Heal out for Damage Heal on Mythra, so whenever I take damage I would heal a little bit, and I was hoping that would help mitigate the damage, but no, that didn't really do anything. So I tried switching to Affinity Max Evade 3, which I thought was the highest I had, but later I figured I had Affinity Max 6. But I tried using Affinity Max 3 because that paired with the affinity she gets, or Affinity Max Evade 3, that paired with the evasion she gets from Lightspeed Fury. I thought, oh, you know, it'd be easy, I'm not really going to get hit. No, didn't really happen. So I tried using Evasion Focus, which increases evasion rate once at 30% or lower. I tried that. It worked out a couple of times, but I got unlucky and died anyway. And it wouldn't really have mattered because Wild Wave, he uses Wild Wave as his Rage Strike, which is a multi-hit, so I would have died anyway. So then I got really desperate and tried stacking Affinity Max Evade 6 with Swift Evade or Evasion Focus. So I just tried stacking as much evasion as I could to just get past this damn Gogo fight, and nothing was working. Alright, this was a lot easier with Brigid, actually, now that I think about it. Even though it did, I think it took longer than Brigid. Brigid was able to just evade most of the attacks. So the trouble that I had with Brigid is that I kept dying to Wild Wave. I would either not get my level 4 up in time, or I would get scared and use it early. And Brigid didn't really have a way of healing because she functions best at 30% health or lower. So I didn't really need to heal on her or even wanted to heal, but that put me at extra risk for dying because one hit gets through the evasion, I'm dead. But I tried absolutely everything with Mythra and just nothing was working. I even eventually leveled up to level 50 against a level 35 Gogol, and still I was getting my shit ran. Alright, I was getting rocked. And then this is eventually where I found the modern metal for Adam, because I was going to go through Adam's accessories because, like, oh, Adam's accessories will affect Mythra since, you know, he's her driver, so obviously it'll affect her. And I was just going through all of my accessories, and I eventually came across the modern metal, and I was like, wait a second, 17% HP absorbed as crit damage, or every time a crit happens, and I'm critting almost every attack, so this will be insane healing. This is like Avant-Garde metal. So I put the modern metal on Adam, and holy shit, this changed absolutely everything. This changed the whole run. Once I put that on, everything became so much easier. Alright, before I even started the challenge run, I thought this was going to be impossible or way harder than Brigid, because Brigid, she can just evade through everything, so she's not really going to be getting hit, so she's not really going to be dying. Easy, no problem. Mythra would obviously need a source of healing since she can't just evade everything or just, you know, kill everything quickly enough before it does anything to her. So I thought there's no way I'm gonna be able to heal with Mythra, which is why I put Arts Heal on her to try to mitigate some of the healing. Didn't happen. But as soon as I put Modern Metal on, Mythra just became a powerhouse. Alright, she crits almost every attack, and she has a lot of crit damage as well, so I'll be healing a lot. So I was staying healthy damn near the entire fight. I think I died a couple of more times after this, just because I just got unlucky with crits. But once I put this on, the rest of the challenge run was just smooth sailing, and it was so nice. Crit healing is very, very broken in this game, and it's so great. I love it. Mythra just is disgusting with crit healing, and it is probably the best way to heal in Torna, at least. In Xenoblade 2, I mean, crit healing is still great, but Avant-Garde metal exists, so you don't really need that. But I guess it's effectively the same thing, but holy shit, did this make everything so much easier. Now after that go-go fight, just did a ton of side quests to get community up, because you know there is the community roadblock throughout the story. So after that go-go fight, I just spent like an hour or two just doing as many side quests as I can to just get over that hurdle, and then help make the grinding for community level 4 later on less painful. But eventually we did get to Oresco and we fight Malos. Before Malos, we go through the gargoyles, which were pretty easy. Crit healing is really nice in this game. I just kind of would just build up level 4s and then use that through their rage strike. So most enemies are pretty easy because I will be staying healthy most of the time because crit healing, and then forever big attacks that'll one shot or multi-hit attacks that will kill, or rage strikes or whatever, I'll just level 4 through them because I can spam arts fast enough to get up a level 4 pretty damn quickly. So after all the gargoyles is when we fight Malos, and I actually had a couple of strats for him. So at first, when I first started fighting him, it was just normal art spamming, and you know, just normal art spamming and crit healing. And then after I kept dying to him over and over again, I was like, okay, let me actually think of a strat here. And whenever he would get enraged, he would use a rage strike striker edge, which wasn't really too scary. But after he became enraged, he would start using Monado Buster, which one shot me a lot of the time. So the strat was to build up a level 4, or you know, just spam arts and specials on him until he got close to enraging, build up a level 4, and then level 4 through his Monado Buster. And that would work, but sometimes RNG would fuck me over and he would get Monado Buster pretty early again after using it, so I wouldn't have enough time to build up a level 4 again. It was like, okay, I'm just going to build up a chain attack on him and a level 4, so to be extra safe, so I can use a chain attack or level 4 on him on, you know, Monado Buster, so I would still have the other one left on a second Monado Buster. But what I didn't know is that whenever you use a chain attack, the special gauge resets. I'm not quite sure why that happens. I guess because you use a special in the chain attack itself, so maybe that's the reason. But building chain attack in this game is very easy, especially with Mythra. Even in Bringer of Chaos, it's not that hard, it just takes a while. The strat is to just spam Photon Edge, and it's just a spam Photon Edge and Twilight Strike are her level 1 special, and they can just seamlessly flow into each other, so it looks like one giant fury of all these, you know, rapid attacks. And dealing crit hits fills up the party gauge a little bit, but in Bringer of Chaos the party gauge gain is pretty slow. But as long as you have Omega Drive on Adam, which increases party gauge gain, like fills the party gauge every time you crit, building gauge is really easy. But my dumbass didn't have Omega Drive on him in this fight, or really until the final fight of the game, because I replaced it with Modern Metal and I didn't really need chain attack. But I would just build up a chain attack with Mythra, just constantly spamming Photon Edge and Twilight Striker, and then I would use the chain attack through his Monado Buster instead of a level 4, because sometimes if the Monado Buster hits, it will drain party gauge, which is not good. So I would use a chain attack through that and then build up a level 4 after using the chain attack. And I mean, I also get invincibility through chain attacks, so when he'd use Monado Buster I wasn't lose any health. And a nice thing I noticed is that if you use Twilight Striker, or really any special, or at least her level 4 special, out of Photon Edge, if you use Photon Edge and then immediately use level 4 special, the entire animation for Photon Edge will play out and then she'll go into level 4. But she does keep the invincibility from her level 4 during Photon Edge. Well, not really the invincibility. If you get attacked while using a level 4, and like before the animation plays, because there is a little buffer from inputting it and then it actually playing. If you get damaged, you only get taken down to 1 health, and you can't die during the transition into a level 4. So if you use Photon Edge and then immediately use her level 4, she won't die during Photon Edge, and it will only go down to 1 HP. And then after Photon Edge's animation is over, she goes in her level 4. So that's a really nice exploit, I guess, to just prolong living as long as you can. So a lot of the time when he would get enraged or use Monado Buster, I would use Photon Edge to get a little bit of damage, and then immediately after pressing B, I would press A for the level 4. So he would hit me with Monado Buster, but Mythra wouldn't die. And then after she's done with Photon Edge, she'd go into the level 4. And it was really cool. It was really nice. But I would mainly just use chain attacks on him, because instead of level 4s through Monado Buster, because even if you do use the level 4, he can still drain the party gauge with Monado Buster if it hits. So I'd use the Monado Buster, or I would use the party gauge for chain attack, and then level 4, build up level 4 for the second Monado Buster. I just said a whole lot of shit right there, just repeating myself, but hopefully all of that made sense. The main strat was to just build up party gauge, use chain attacks on him, and then build up level 4s, and just use those to go through his Monado Busters whenever he would use them. But before he got enraged, I would just use a level 1 and level 2, or just a level 2 blade combo, because it does a lot of damage. As you know, whenever you use a blade combo, whenever you go from stage 1 to stage 2 and then stage 2 to stage 3, there's this extra bit of damage you get. So for example, for Mythra, she uses a special blade combo starts. She uses the level 2, goes up to level 2 of the blade combo, and when it goes from level 1 to 2, you see those, the light orbs that explode and do a massive amount of damage and put damage over time on him. So for a lot of fights, that would be one of the strats. I would just start level 2 blade combo to get that massive hit of damage. It would help out a lot. But Malos took around like 40 minutes or so. I didn't start, using the chain attack strat until pretty late in, so I spent around 40 minutes on this. Funnily enough, the Gogol took longer than the Malos fight, but we got through him pretty quickly comparatively. I know all of that was just a big jumble of rambling. Sorry, I kind of dragged that whole fight out longer than I should have. But after that Malos fight, I kind of just spent a couple, like an hour or so, just again grinding side quests to get through that level 4 roadblock in the community. But once we did, we get into Torna, the Torna Titan interior, and start doing the antibody cores. Now, these ones are interesting. I did not struggle nearly as much as I did with Brigid, because spike damage is not fun in this series at all, especially here. Now, unlike Brigid, Mythra can mitigate the spike damage and deal with it pretty easily. With Brigid, I had to run spike defense on her, and spike defense only goes up to a max of 3, which reduces it by 80%, so it doesn't even completely nullify it, which even still hurts a lot, because like I said, Brigid has basically no way of healing, so she would just get fucked by spike damage over and over again. However, Mythra is nutty and has crit healing, so she heals more than she takes. She heals more health than she takes damage. That makes sense. So the spike damage was like 74. She would heal 100 plus every crit. So the spike damage was never really an issue unless there were a lot of enemies in the fight and like all attacking me at once. So all of their damage plus spike damage from, you know, hitting the enemies below half health, because once they become enraged, that's when they start dealing spike damage. And AoE spike, you know, AoE, all of them, that's a ton of spike damage. But more hits equals more spike damage, but also more hits equals more crits, which equals more healing. So overall, despite how bad it may seem, Mythra was able to combat the spike damage with her insane crit healing. And I died a couple of times because I just got unlucky with not getting crits or getting hit by a ton of knockback to where I couldn't really do anything and I would just die. But these antibody cores didn't really take long at all. I would just basically spam Photon Edge, and around here and around the Malos fight, actually, like near the end of the Malos fight, is when I realized it's better to just spam Photon Edge instead of Lightning Buster, because not only does it just do more damage, it heals better and it has a way more consistent AoE. So my main source of damage throughout the run was just spamming Lightning Buster, but from like the end of the Malos fight onward, I just started spamming Photon Edge. Even though it does have a pretty long startup animation, it is worth it to spam. So these antibody cores were pretty easy, and then again, like the Bridget one, I skipped the third one and just did the little, you know, jump skip around the gate because I just wanted to get this challenge run done, and I'd have to go through 2 more antibody cores, which didn't really seem like a whole lot of fun because I would just get destroyed since those ones are a lot harder. And I just wanted to hurry up and get this challenge run done because I knew Malos would take me way too long. And that's exactly what happened. Now for the final fight with Malos. Surprisingly, the first phase is a lot harder than the second phase, because for the first phase we have to fight Malos along with 2 gargoyles. And I forgot to mention, after the Malos fight in Oresco, we fight 2 gargoyles. So I took care of those easily. But here we have to fight Malos along with the 2 gargoyles. And there's just a lot of bullshit in this phase. First, Malos always likes to open with Striker Edge, which is a knockback art. He does the same thing in Xenoblade 2, which is why he was so difficult with Telos, because in my Telos only run, y'all know that Jin and Malos fight is not fun at all, especially for Telos. But Jin likes to open up with Striker Edge, which just completely destroys my Photon Edge because Photon Edge has such a long animation. And then the 2 gargoyles, their auto attacks can force topple for some reason, and then they also have a launch art, which a force launch art at that. So they also have multi-hits that knock back on each hit. So as you can tell, first phase isn't really too fun. So the main strat again would to just build a chain attack on Malos, and this time later on in later attempts I would finally put the Omega Drive onto Adam for the Siren gauge, which is very important. And once I put the Omega Drive on Adam, building chain attack just got so much easier. But again, just like the other fights, I would build up a chain attack and just use that to get rid of Malos as quickly as I could. But typically I would just spam Photon Edge since it would hit everything, the 2 gargoyles and Malos, regardless of how far away they are. Photon Edge is like a universal AoE, so you don't really have to be near the enemy for it to hit, which is very nice, and it is so helpful. And it would have been nice to know earlier in the run but I would basically just spam specials and chain attacks on Malos, and then once Malos was done, the gargoyles weren't really an issue. But it is a little frustrating that if you lose in the second phase, which I did a lot, you'd have to do the first phase all over again, which is a lot harder than the second phase. So it's really easy to die on the first phase. So I just had to do that over and over again. But once I got, you know, a hang of it, first phase wasn't too bad. But the second phase is where things got really annoying. At first, I didn't have Omega Drive on Adam, and typically I would just charge up party gauge, obviously, to get the Siren gauge, so just spam Photon Edge and Twilight Striker, and then as soon as I'd get gauge, I'd spam it. But I don't know if there's this weird secret property with the gauges to where whoever didn't get the gauge last time gets increased recharge, because I would always get the first Siren gauge, the Siren or Artifice gauge, I guess, and I would get mine off, and then Malos would get his off the next time, and then after that I would get mine off, and then he would get his off. So it just kept going back and forth. I don't know if there's like a special handicap or like boost to whoever didn't get Siren gauge or Artifice gauge the last rotation gets increased recharge to their party gauge. I'm not really sure. It kind of seemed that way, but once I, you know, got through the whole Siren gauge or Artifice gauge portion of the phase 2, from there it was pretty smooth. Once I put Omega Drive onto Adam, I consistently got party gauge almost every single time. But funny thing is, I would get the first 2 Artifice gauges, and then Malos would always get the third, and then I'd get the fourth and final one. It happened, that was like 3 times in a row. I'd get the first 2, he got the third, and then I got the fourth. So not really sure. I think around like the second, after the second gauge, he would start using Monado armor, which gives a massive jump in his party gauge for some reason. But once I got Omega Drive, it was pretty consistent for that. And then after that, the strat was really just to spam Photon Edge on him. Photon Edge and Lightning Buster, and then I'd throw in a little bit of Ray of Punishment in there for big damage if I was getting unlucky with crits and needed a big like one-hit heal. I would use Ray of Punishment, since that is very nice for healing. It does a lot of damage. Surprisingly, considering it's the weakest art, it would do a ton of damage in one hit. But the strat really was the same for everything else, just to spam Lightning Buster and specials, and then I kept dying and having to do everything all over again. And then once I did it a couple of times, I went through a couple of attempts, he again would like to Rage Strike Monado Buster. So just like the fight in Oresco, I would, as soon as I finished the whole Siren gauge, or I need to stop saying Siren, Artifice gauge portion, I would just focus on building up a chain attack. And then once I build up a chain attack, I would just focus on building up a level 4 and then spamming specials until then. Or before I build up level 4, after I got chain attack, I would just do the Blade 2 combo and build up damage that way. And then once he got close to half health and enraging, I would then build up a level 4 and just like before, chain attack through his Monado Buster, and level 4 through Monado Buster if used it quickly after the chain attack. And this fight, just like in the Bridget run, took a long time, not because I kept dying. Well, that was a factor, that wasn't the main reason why it took so long. It's because he's just so goddamn tanky, and on top of that, he can use Monado armor, which makes him even more tankier, which means less damage I'm doing, less healing I'm doing, the more I die. As well as his block rate being increased by a lot, which means a lot of my attacks would be blocked and I deal no damage, and the animation of being blocked is pretty long, so that's quite a bit of lag. And then once you put an elemental orb on him from using a special, he gains elemental awakening, which I'm pretty sure also decreases the damage he does or he takes. So that on top of Monado armor, this fight takes quite a long time, even if you're doing a whole lot of damage like Mythra is with her crits. So this fight would just take a while because it would just take so long to whittle down his health, and then once I'd get close to killing him, I'd get unlucky with crits and then I would die, and then I'd have to go through all of the fight again, the entire first phase, the whole artifice gauge portion, and then whittling him all the way back down while still being aware and managing my chain attacks and level 4s correctly. So this fight takes quite a while and it's pretty tough, you know, just doing it with one character on Bringer of Chaos, which also increases enemy HP, which makes him even more tankier. So Malos is just this massive fucking tank in the final fight, and it takes so long, and it's more tedious and annoying than it is difficult, because once you die you got to do everything all over again, and it takes like 20 minutes just to get him, you know, just to get past everything and get him enraged to where you can actually start doing stuff. So it did take a while. This fight took me around an hour and 5 minutes, which is not as long as I thought. It's way quicker than Bridget, obviously, because she does like no damage. But once I finally beat him, I was so happy. I finally beat Malos, and I just a massive sigh of relief, because there it is. I beat Torna, Bringer of Chaos, with Mythra only. I thought it'd be impossible because she'd have no way of healing, but I didn't know there was modern metal, which is effectively the same as avant-garde metal, which lets me crit heal. But there it is. Torna, Bringer of Chaos, done. Mythra only, easy, no problem. Now, since I did Bridget and I did Mythra, it's only fair that I do a Jin only run, which that one may actually be pretty tough because Jin won't really have a way of healing. I mean, I guess I could put modern metal on Laura, but Jin isn't really focused on critting, so healing isn't going to be as plentiful as Mythra. But unlike Mythra, I can actually use Jin's talent art, which whenever he has recoverable HP, so that's the red bar in the HP, whenever there's any amount of that, I can use his talent art, which increases his attack, accuracy, evasion, and speed for 30 seconds. So that can come in helpful. So the evasion and attack boost will be very helpful. And then I could crit heal maybe and just stack crits on him, put massive melee Mythra on him and just stack crits and just crit heal like Mythra. That would be kind of boring though. I don't know. I'd have to figure it out. I haven't looked into it yet, but yes, I will be doing Jin only, Bringer of Chaos, Torna, Bringer of Chaos, Jin only. Because I already did the other two, it's only fair that I also do Jin. But now that this one's over, I'm probably gonna go work on the Cosmos challenge run, which should be out pretty quickly, since I can just breeze through the game with Cosmos anyway, with just her, since she is that stupidly good. And then after that, I'm gonna work on a Xenoblade 3 challenge run. Actually, I have two planned, but after the one Xenoblade 3 challenge run, I'm actually going to start my very first Xenoblade 1 challenge run. I've been wanting to do one for a while, but I couldn't really think of anything other than, oh, use X color arts only, because you can't take party members out, so it'd kind of be hard to do this character only, and there's no classes like Xenoblade 3, so you can't do, oh, this class only, whatever. But you can take arts out of the art palette, which means I'm gonna be beating Xenoblade 1 with only auto attacks. That one's gonna take even longer than any of my other ones probably combined. But the combat in Xenoblade 1 is already slow enough. Auto attacks are already slow enough. So, hey, y'all might not see that one for a long time, but I'll try. But yeah, that's really about it for this video. Finally glad I got this challenge run done and out. Yeah, I really hope y'all enjoyed this one. I know I was kind of rambly more than I was before, but that's because I was excited about this one and kind of, you know, I was passionate about this one since I love Mythra. She's one of my favorite characters, top 5. So I don't know, I just like talking about Mythra and what she can do. This one was really fun, even though I kind of rambled on more than I should have. Sorry about that. When I get excited, I just go off. But yeah, next challenge run is going to be Xenoblade 3 challenge run. That one might take a while. Don't know. Xenoblade 3 is kind of a long game compared to the others, so that one will be out at some point. I'm also thinking about bringing back the Xenosaga playthrough and continuing that. I've been getting back into Xenosaga lately, so hopefully that. And I still need to finish the Bayonetta Origins playthrough. I got a lot of videos to make, but enough of my rambling. I hope y'all enjoyed the video, and as always, thanks for watching. Have a damn good day. Stay safe, be well, and play some goddamn Xenoblade.